Good evening. And welcome to The Talk. This is Kingdom State University, where we raise awareness, educate, and inspire others towards a loving relationship with Christ. Tonight we're going to dive into the Allusion of Freedom by our pastor, Paul C. Robinson Jr. So a little bit about our pastor. He is a St. Louis native, Hazelwood East graduate, got his education from Kansas State University in architectural engineering. Went off, did some great things for Target Corporation, and then God just tugged on his heart to come back to St. Louis. So we're back in St. Louis the last 4 years, planting the church, Kingdom State University, doing ministry, raising awareness, outward facing. So now that we're here at UMSL tonight with The Talk, let's get into it. Welcome our pastor, Paul C. Robinson Jr.
Yeah. Oh, let that breathe a little bit, Neil. How y'all doing? Good. Yeah, so this is The Talk. Of course, like my wife said, I'm Paul Robinson, St. Louis native, loving to be back home, back in the Lou, to be with you guys. Yes. This is something that's very, very important, very special, very significant, especially kind of in the context in which we're living in today. And so when you think about The Talk, it's actually a response, right, to society, to culture, kind of where we are. And so what God had laid on our hearts is to begin to have these thought-provoking dialogues, these thought-provoking conversations about topics that carry a lot of weight, right? Things that carry a lot of weight in our society, because a lot of times, even though we're socially connected, a lot of things that carry a lot of weight, we have all of our dialogue, if you will, kind of on social media, in this social network, where we don't get a chance to enjoy one another. We don't get a chance to kind of hear the tonality, hear the expression, to hear why, we feel the way we do, our perspectives. And so just being able to have honest, good, healthy dialogue. And so we wanted to have these talks, to introduce these thought-provoking conversations, and then to have Q&A, to create this safe place just to unpack, this safe place just to talk about things that carry a lot of weight, and for it to be a safe place. Is that cool? Yes. So tonight, we're going to talk about the illusion of freedom. The illusion with an A and not an I. How many of y'all thought it was a typo? Neil said, man, you know what? Now, to be honest, man, since you asked that question, bruh, I didn't want to say nothing because y'all had everything printed out already. We had put it on our page already, man, so I didn't want to say, is this supposed to be an I or A? But it is. It's an A, man, and we'll get there. So, illusion of freedom. When you think about the aspect, the term freedom, it's always a topic that dominates a society. It's always one of the topics that dominates a culture, historically and today, right? When you think about from age to age, when you think about the rise and falls of civilizations or kingdoms or what have you, as we've progressed, as we've expanded or what have you, you always see this constant conversation aspect of life regarding freedom that just runs parallel to society. It's always relevant. Regardless of what goes in style and out of style, a conversation, a topic about freedom is still top of mind. It still permeates through a culture. And so having a theology that intersects culture, this is a very relevant topic to still bring up. Wouldn't you agree? The illusion of freedom. When you think about the word freedom, what are some words that come to mind? What was that? Rights. Slavery. It's good. What else? Liberty? Liberation? So I get that right? There we go. Autonomy. What about this? Choice. Choice. I want to choose. I don't want things chosen for me. Independence. Yeah? People value freedom a lot. For it to remain a constant from age to age, from generation to generation, it speaks to how much people value it. It never goes out of style. It never becomes irrelevant. We value it. And it's something about freedom where it brings out the best of us and the worst of us. People cry for freedom. People run for freedom. People fight for freedom. People steal for freedom. People kill for freedom. People dream for freedom. People sacrifice for freedom. People exploit under the guise of freedom. It brings out the best and the worst of us. But it's always relevant. It's always top of mind. It's always in style. It's always significant. It's always a topic that carries and invokes a lot of passion and emotion. There's actually been studies on American society, on American culture, that's actually said that freedom is our number one value in society. Interesting. That freedom is our number one value today. Freedom is supreme. Numero uno, number one, is freedom. And more than technological advancements, more than curing certain diseases, the way our society measures societal progress, the way our culture measures societal progress, it's not through technological advances, it's not through the curing of certain diseases, but it's in the amount of increased individual freedoms that we can have. The ability for an individual to live, believe, and worship however they feel is how we measure societal progress as a culture. This is something for the culture. I would argue that if we had to sum up our society, if we had to sum up our culture with one word, we live in a whatever society. We live in a society that has cultural proverbs, if you will, these short sayings and principles that we begin to take on as our truth that permeate through society like YOLO. Tell me what YOLO means. See, we come from all different places, and everybody knew what it meant. You only live once, which is a justification to what? Do as you please, seize the moment. You've got this opportunity right in front of you, whether it's good or bad. If you find pleasure in it, then bro, go ahead and do that. You only live once. You're only 18 once. Then we say you're only 21 once. Then we say you're only 30 once. That dirty 30. Say, now you're back on the market, man, so hey, you've got to seize the moment. YOLO, you only get one life, so you might as well ride this thing till the wheels fall off. And that's acceptable in our society. That's acceptable in our culture. This whatever society. Woo, let me get to that. So we've become a culture that has moved into a definition that is the absence of limitations and constraints. This is how we define what freedom is in our society, in our culture today. It's the absence of limitations and constraints. The more choices we have, it is believed that the happier and the freer we will feel. But watch this. There's this man, authored this book called Ecclesiastes. And this was a man who was a king, right? He amassed things that people dreamed for. He lived the life that people dream for. He lived the life that people invest all of their life in trying to acquire. But this is a man who's sitting at the mountaintop, if you will, where everybody's eyes are fixated. And he's eternalizing his life. He's looking back over his life, and he writes this. He says, I undertook great projects. I built houses for myself and planted vineyards. I amassed silver and gold for myself and the treasure of kings and provinces. I acquired men and women singers and a harem as well. The delights of the heart of man, I denied myself absolutely nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart absolutely no pleasure. I did as I pleased. I lived with no constraints. I lived this life of pleasure. I did whatever I wanted to, when I wanted to whomever I wanted to. Everything that society tries to fight for, everything that people fix all of their attention on, give all of their time, attention, and effort toward, I've got it. I had the freedom to build as I pleased. I had the freedom to amass wealth, things that we consider to be the most valuable things for myself. I acquired. I had the freedom to indulge. I had the freedom to acquire. I had the freedom to build. I had the freedom to live as I please. I had the freedom to bring myself pleasure over and over and over and over again. But if you keep reading, as Solomon is looking at things, as he's looking back over his life, he's not speaking from a joyous position. He's not fulfilled. There's no sustainable satisfaction. What he's wrestling with and what he's battling is the disappointment of success. Everything that I thought that has substance has left me empty. Through the exercising of my free will and doing whatever I wanted to do, I find myself at the end still feeling like I have no sustainable substance or substantive things, no fulfillment, and no sustainable satisfaction, no meaning. I was sitting in a group, and this is appropriate for this time. I was sitting in a group, and we had to finish a sentence, right? So we would sit in a circle, and you had to finish this sentence. Before I die, ... All right, so it's going around, you know, and it's got a constant theme, right? So before I die, man, I want to skydive, you know? Before I die, I want to go this place. I want to go to that place. I want to go to this exotic place, right? And then it gets to a man who hadn't said too much. And he said, before I die, I want to live. He said, I'm in a position that a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on. I'm in a position that our society would deem as success. I've got the wealth, I've got the power, I've got everything at my beck and call. I've been able to deny myself absolutely nothing just because of the amount of wealth that I have amassed. And I'm telling you today, it ain't what you think it is. So as I'm sitting here with half of my life invested into things that I thought would give me significance and purpose and meaning and satisfaction that could be sustained, I'm still searching, and I'm still empty. Interesting. How many people we got in here? That's all right, don't tell me. I'm gonna do something. I'll say, oh my God, what is he doing? Coming around to each one of y'all. Don't worry. Don't worry. There you go, sir. Hey, man, no question. Now, what does everybody have? $1? Act like you know what it is now, come on. How you get hesitant? It's like, okay, this was given a little differently, so I don't know if it is what it is. It's $1, right? How did you get the $1? I gave it to you. Why do you have the $1? That's the answer to a different question. That's an answer to how you got it. So you have something in your hand. You now possess something that is of value, that was given to you intentionally. I know why you have it, but you don't know why you have it. Is that correct? Yep. So there's purpose behind what you have because you didn't give it to yourself, and you know it's of value. There's somebody that knows the purpose, but you don't know the purpose. Now this message just got personal because all of my words are connected to now what you possess. So now, antennas are up. The focus is a little bit more clearer now. Holding on to every word that I say, looking around, trying to see what's going on. Why do I have what I have? And essentially what you're doing is you're trying to discover the meaning for what you possess. Woo! Anything that is created with intention has meaning attached to it. Therefore, it has purpose. I know the meaning and the purpose behind why you have what you have. All you know is that you got it, and it's worth something. What if that dollar represented you? What if that dollar represented your life? It's worth something. It has meaning. And it also has purpose. So what do you think we do? As humanity, as a society, as people, what do you think we do? Do you think we create meaning for our lives, or do we discover the meaning for our life? Create. Man, y'all smart. It's wisdom speaking right there. Most times, this is how we live. We know that we have something of value, and we know that it means something. And so we go on under our own free will, trying to establish meaning and purpose for what we have, for what we possess, or for our lives. Now watch this. Who's the giver of the gift? Who gave you that? I did. Anything that is created with intention, meaning is attached to it, correct? So who holds the meaning for what you possess? The giver of the gift. So if life, because you didn't give it to yourself, has been given to you intentionally, then there's somebody who holds meaning for your life, which also holds the purpose for your life. Oh, man. Is this too much for a Thursday? Tell me, Neil. I don't know, man. Let it breathe. We're talking about the illusion of freedom with an A. We were created to be in relationship with God. But still looking at today, looking at how society operates, looking at how culture is, we are in constant pursuit of living the way that we want to live. These increased individual freedoms. And this is how we've gotten to this point. I know my life has meaning, and I know my life has purpose. Therefore, I need an unyielding amount of choices. I need the space and I need the liberty to create meaning and satisfaction for myself. And so we have a society of people, of individuals who are constantly focused on themselves. Looking out for numero uno. Me, myself, and I. And what has that done? What has that done for us as a community? What has that done for us as a society? Because we're constantly pursuing our own interests, we have less shared values. And we also have less significant and meaningful experiences together. Which affects a lot of self-governing small communities, like associations, like the family, and like church. So the more we progress in our individual freedoms, simultaneously we're stripping away the very fabric and essence of community. So maybe we've got some things right, because we are created in the image of God, and so therefore we do possess all truth in some shape, form, or fashion. You listen to somebody talk long enough, eventually they're going to say something that's right. So maybe we understand a little bit what freedom is, but we also need a little help. We need a little direction. Because it's just not working for us. Would you agree? So maybe freedom is not the absence of constraints and limitations. This is how we operate as a society, but it's not working for us communally or individually. So maybe that's not the right definition. But what if the proper definition of freedom was the presence of the proper limitations and constraints? Is that a paradigm shift? Watch this. Looking at the account of creation, God created man, right? His own image, for us to be in relationship with him. This harmonious community where in him we can enjoy the freedoms of a fulfilling and sustained satisfactory life. So he said, I'm going to place you in an environment where you can thrive. I'll place you in this locale where you can enjoy the freedoms, where you can have enough space to be who you were fully created to be. That will be pleasing, that will bring joy, that will bring fulfillment. But there's just one restraint. There's just one limitation. There's just one thing that you've got to avoid. In order to maximize what freedom has to offer, let me give you the proper limitations. And say that, you know what, you can't eat from this tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Look at this. We're on a college campus, right? Look at nature, let's look at biology for a second, just an example. You have a human and you have fish, right? Both of us need oxygen to live. But we live in two different environments. How can we both need the same thing, but thrive in different environments? We both need oxygen to live, but we can't live in the same space. When you look at the process of a fish, right? Let's look at the design of the fish. A fish has an organ, it's called gills. And so what they do is they breathe by taking in water. They push the water through their gills, and as the water passes, the dissolved oxygen goes into the blood. And then it travels to the cells. But in order for the fish to thrive, it has to be restricted to the environment that aligns with its design. If you take the fish out of the environment that aligns with its design, then you destroy it. There are some environments that we thrive in, and there are other environments that will break us down. So maybe we should be taking on the constraints, the limitations that align best with our design, which would speak to being in the environment, being in a relationship, being in the space with the one who determined the meaning and the purpose for our lives. That says, in me, you can have the freedoms of peace, you can have the freedoms of joy, you can have the freedoms of identity, you can have the freedoms of purpose, you can have the freedoms of internal peace and satisfaction. Because outside of me, when you try to pursue those things, all you're doing is trying to draw life from the things of life that were never created and designed to give you life. So as you exercise your free will, because you are created in my image and you can do as you please, when you try to live and thrive in an environment that's outside of me, all that is self-destructive. Woo! Sin disrupted that community and disrupted those freedoms. And so now we are naturally inclined to live a life contrary to how we are designed. We were built for a relationship, but we try to live independently and be an island unto ourselves. Paul writes this. Paul writes this, not me, the other one. He says, for the love of Christ constrains us. I love that. Having concluded this, that one died for all, therefore all died. And he died for all, so that they who live might no longer live for themselves, but for him who died and rose again on their behalf. It's only in a loving relationship that we can enjoy the freedoms that come with it. It's nothing like being loved and feeling loved well. This love that affords you the liberty to not have to go through life alone. This love that affords you the liberty to not try to depend on your own resources. This love that affords you the opportunity to face your fears and your doubts. It's a love that liberates you in a way that nothing else does. And if we reflect on our lives, or if we talk to ones who live close to us and that we know well, that have been trying to get what only God can provide outside of the environment that they were created for, and have witnessed and attest to how much baggage and how much additional things that are breaking them down over time, understand what this means. So in the beginning, I asked you 3 questions. I said, what did you have? You knew you had something of value. I said, how did you get it? Well, there was a giver of this because I didn't create it for myself. And why did you have, or why do you have what you have? What was the purpose? The purpose for this message was to put your eyes and attention on the giver of the gift. And if you translate that to life, as we're searching for what only the giver can provide, the one who holds the true liberty, the hint, the insinuation, the introduction, the allusion to ultimate freedom is looking to the one that created and designed you to be in a thriving relationship, loving relationship, enduring relationship, and eternal relationship with him. Thank you. All right.